Hi guys, this is Surbhi from the Mom Store, back again with expert talk this week with Jaylakshmi Shenoy, who is a nutritionist. This week, our topic, as you might have guessed and we also informed, is something which is close to my heart as well. It's on women health and nutrition. As women become moms and have additional responsibilities, their own health and fitness takes a back seat while taking care of the family. And this week we want to discuss on how women can take care of their health and nutrition in a holistic manner, how to encompass fitness as well in their entire fitness journey. So let's have Jay Lakshmi joining us. Okay, I think yes, there she is. Hi Jay Lakshmi.
Hello, hi Surabhi.
Yes.
Thank you
Very
so
nice
much.
to have you on the Mom Store.
Thank you so much for having me on board. It's really been a pleasure. And I think
Yes.
Momstore is really doing an amazing job by conducting these educational series for the audience. So thank you for having me on
Thank
board.
you so much. We will just start in a second. I'm pinning a comment
Sure, sure,
so that people who are joining in can know what the topic is about.
sure.
Pin comment. Yes. So, hi, ladies. We have here with us Jay Lakshmi Chenoy, who's a nutritionist accredited by Manipal Nutrition and Dietetics Association, WGSH. She also consults as a nutritionist at various hospitals and has her private practice as a side hustle. So, welcome, Jay Lakshmi. And I think today we are going to have a lot of discussion. Comments will also start coming in from our audience very soon. But just to set the ball rolling, women health and nutrition is a topic which is very close to my heart as well. More so because as women become moms, health and nutrition takes a back seat because they are responsible for the nutrition of not just your child but also the entire family, and because it takes a lot of planning and effort to make sure that you're leading a healthy lifestyle. I think that takes a backseat because the woman is like, okay, let me just get my act together and, this can happen in the end. But all of the results of the lack of, dedication on health and nutrition starts showing a little later. So, and you being a mom herself and being through your own journey, which we were discussing about, I think we are up for a very nice discussion today.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So,
So let's get started and let's talk about how important is nutrition for a lady, especially in the motherhood phase, and how can we ensure holistic nutrition both during pregnancy and motherhood?
yeah, right. So thank you once again. And yes, as you said, as a women, I think mostly when we become mothers, that is when we start putting ourselves on a back seat, right? The entire new setup with the baby around, the entire world changes around her. So that is when,
Yeah.
this nutrition, health, everything starts taking a back seat. So nutrition is something which is very important every single day, but it takes, it's super important during your pregnancy and, postpartum. So
Yeah.
holistic approach is something we always look towards it. So nutrition in every single day is important, every single meal, and we've just completed our National Nutrition Week, which said, eat right, bite by bite, right? So eat right is something which is really important. I'll start off with three very important points. Holistically approaching this pregnancy. I think something which our ancestors have been following for centuries and which we have been forgetting these days is, I think, first and foremost is soaking technique. Okay, nutrition is very important during pregnancy. We tell all our clients that you have to eat protein. That's very important. Carbs are very important, but the way you eat it, is something which is super important. So eat right. So soaking of your proteins are something very important if you want to get that right amount of nutrition. because all our dals, pulses, all these are, very rich in phytates. So only when you soak them for a good amount of 7 to 8 hours, only then your body is absorbing it right. It is digesting it well, and you're getting all
So
kinds
you
of
mean
nutrients.
that, just to clarify here, soaking before the cooking process?
Exactly. And you need to soak, you need to throw off that water at least 2 or 3 times. Most of the times
Mm-hmm.
we have this myth that, that water has a lot of nutrient content and we tend to, boil in the same water. So that is
Mm-hmm.
something which most of us are doing it in a wrong way. So that is when, there is a lot of, issues with gas, bloating. That is some of the very common reasons which are there during pregnancy as well. So that is something which absolutely needs to be kept in mind. And second is fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
Eat a lot of fermented foods. Okay, see, idli, dosa, be our dokla, curds. These are all probiotic foods which our our body regularly needs. Now we are in this generation of modern technology where we need everything instant, right? Instant breakfast
Mm-hmm.
cereals, instant non-ferment dosas and stuff like that. So it's very important to eat foods which are very rich in probiotics, so that
Mm-hmm.
happy gut is equal to a happy you always. So eat
Yeah.
good amount of fermented foods. So that is second point. And third is keeping yourself very well hydrated during pregnancy and post pregnancy is a super important point, because see, pregnant women needs more water. Okay, and even post pregnancy, because 70% of our breast milk is made up of water. So the more the water
Mm-hmm.
you drink, it's better the milk supply. So make
Right.
sure that you are always well hydrated. So these are some points which are always has to be kept in mind.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But you said, eating fermented food, idli and dosa. But I also wanted to ask you, how important is it to eat local, vegetables and grains that are grown locally and have been part of your tradition, rather than going for challenges which go for ingredients that have never been part of your diet.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good point, Sylvie. See, eat local, eat seasonal, eat what you have grown up eating. Just don't, follow the diet trends which are coming in the market. Just don't eat, something because somebody told you it's healthy, because somebody had some, instance, it has helped somebody. It doesn't mean that take that up. So eat local, eat seasonal. Just eat, stick to what you have been, grown up eating. Just don't follow the diet trends is what I want to tell my the audience. And always stick to your roots. Stick to your roots. It's okay, be it rice, be it chapati, be it broccoli. You have to eat what you have grown up eating. That's all.
Yeah.
Don't follow any specific diet, or don't follow any specific something because it is healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair point. And also, during pregnancy and breastfeeding, a lot of multivitamins are advised to women, whether it's iron supplements, calcium supplements, and folic acid. Do you think that all these supplements are required, or can they be fulfilled with the diet itself? And not just during this period, but otherwise in general for women health. Do you think the diet needs to be supplemented with vitamins?
Yeah. See, now the word supplement itself tells you it is an add on, right? It is something which you are adding to your diet to enhance it, right? So, for example, during my pregnancy, I haven't taken any supplement. So, that's the kind of confidence that you need to have with your nutritional support. I haven't taken iron, neither have I taken calcium throughout my pregnancy. In fact, my doctor asked me,
Was
"Are you
your
sure?"
doctor okay with this? Was your gynac okay? I'm saying,
Yeah,
was your gynac okay
yeah.
with this?
My gynecologist, she asked me, "Are you that confident with your diet?" Because the hemoglobin levels go down when you hit your third
Yeah.
trimester or something like that.
Yeah.
So she was very curious to know about what I was following. So I haven't taken any supplement during my pregnancy, because that was the kind of confidence I had with the nutritional support that I was giving myself. So postnatal, definitely, and yes, okay, you need to take your supplements. That is a must, because there is a lot of hormonal havoc happening. Okay, you need that extra set of vitamins and minerals for you. That iron to replenish your hemoglobin stores. That calcium to they are your cell receptors we need that energy, so that is the time I definitely took. And I think postnatal supplements are a must. They are a must. So otherwise,
Yeah.
in general, there is no need to take supplement if you can provide that nutrition through your diet.
But I think for that, one needs to be very careful and ensure that all the necessary ingredients and vitamins are covered in the food that they're eating.
Right.
Otherwise, this can actually backfire, just to avoid like medicine or something.
Definitely. You need to keep in mind on all the food groups and all the minerals and vitamins which you are getting through. So that is when you really, you can take care of. Otherwise, yes, there has to be a need of supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly, this is also, another important awareness week and month on PCOD, something that a lot of women suffer from, but is actually diagnosed pretty late, only when they start facing hormonal changes or, trying to conceive, and then they realize that they are suffering from PCOD. So, how is health and nutrition related to PCOD? And, can a syndrome like PCOD be resolved by taking care of your nutrition and food habits, lifestyle?
Yeah, yeah, we are, educating all our clients around. It is a PCOD awareness month. Okay. Now, Sylvie, if you see a couple of years back, we hardly heard of this term PCOD, right?
Yeah.
Our grandmothers, our mothers, that generation, there was hardly any cases of PCOD. But now, with the coming years, it's been exponentially increasing. Now, especially this
Mm-hmm.
year, the statistics in India is, before the previous year, it was like 4 in 10 women would have it. Now it's like, it's increasing. It's like 6 in 10 women. Now, this PCOD is not, you can't blame it on your heredity. It is not heredity. Okay, otherwise, we always have this thing of telling, it's heredity. But PCOD is definitely not. It is a total lifestyle condition. Okay, it is because these days the kind of food that we eat, the sedentary lifestyle that we have. Okay, so something, and it can really be reversed if taken in mind on all the points. PCOD is something which is reversible, and the message I want to give all people here with PCOD is, please don't keep treating the that symptom. Now there might be some symptoms like you said, infertility, or there is hair loss, or there is lot of acne, excessive
Mm.
hair growth. Okay, so what happens is most of the times, for example, if it is acne, what most of us do is, we are treating it with some kind of face pack, or doing all kind of external things. You need to treat the condition internally. Okay,
Mm.
always don't keep treating a rat in the room when there is a big elephant right there, right?
Right.
You need to understand what is the root cause of PCOD. Don't just keep
Mm.
treating on the symptoms. Just treat it right, and that is when it that definitely can be reversible. It can be reversible. So
Yeah, I think you said something really, really important, which is that you always have to treat the root cause and not the symptoms,
yeah,
because otherwise you'll not be able to get to the root of the problem. Yeah.
definitely.
And how important is, having physical activity and physical fitness as an addition to taking care of diet, health, and nutrition, and also in resolving issues like PCOD? You think,
Yes, that's a very interesting question. Now
or do you think that running behind a toddler is enough?
I can't emphasize enough on physical activity. Okay, see, you can't outweigh one or the other. Diet and physical activity both go hand in hand. You can't say that I am eating a very healthy diet. I don't have to exercise, or it's not the other way around. I am doing a very good physical activity, so I can eat whatever I want. It doesn't happen that way. So physical activity is something which is very important, and especially if it is during pregnancy, it really plays a very very important role. Okay, that blood circulation which is happening is very important for you and the baby as well. So it definitely needs to be kept in mind. So for general guidelines here for everybody to start on with their physical activity is 10K steps a day. I always keep telling this to anybody and everybody that I meet. If you have to have a very healthy lifestyle, 10K steps a day is something which is extremely important. Okay, so there is enough research and there is enough evidence to tell you that a person who hits a 4 to 5K steps a day means that the person has a very very inactive lifestyle. Okay,
Mm.
and the person is very easily prone to such conditions which we discuss, like PCOD, or it can be any lifestyle condition. So a person who hits 10k steps a day means that a person has an average lifestyle and is lesser prone to these conditions. And anywhere between 12 to 15k steps a day means that the person is very active and lesser prone to these lifestyle conditions. So that's the kind of mindset you need to have, and you have to start counting your steps.
Yeah.
So I think from today you can know, you can start counting on your steps, and you know that you fall into which bracket.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And having gone through your Insta page and speaking to you, I know that you picked up running recently. I think a year or so back after your delivery.
Yeah.
And just share with the audience how you did it. How did you find time for it? And what motivated you to start running? And how did you go from like just starting and then actually maintaining it and doing marathons?
Right. I am basically definitely not a runner at all. Okay. It all started post pregnancy. During my first pregnancy, I almost hit a very bad, I went into postpartum depression because my child had a very, bad birth story of MRSA, which is a hospital borne infection. So that is when I was totally hit by this postpartum depression. That is when I thought that I have to do something for myself, okay, and that is when I picked up running. Now, why you
Hmm.
have to pick up any kind of activity is, see, when there is that endorphins which is getting rushed in your body, you automatically have those happy hormones secreted, okay. So that is when you do something, you feel happy, right?
Yeah.
So that is when I picked up this passion for running, and message here is don't start running immediately, okay. You need minimum of at least 5 months before you start your practice of running, and you will not run immediately, okay. You need interval training of running. You will run for 15 seconds and you will walk for the next 1.5 minutes, or you will run for 30 seconds and then walk for 2 minutes, and that is how you need to slowly start building on your pace, okay. And that is how I started building it up, and then I joined a group of Pinkathon, Pinkathon group, where I am very closely associated with them, and that is how I slowly started my passion towards running started from there. And that is when I started slowly. 5 kilometers that time seemed so big, and then
Yeah.
I started 10 kilometers, and then on myself I have done my half marathon. It's not an official one, but I have done a half kilometer half marathon. So that is how I slowly started this running. And it is all passion. You slowly need to start it, take it really slow, one brick at a time, okay. Don't rush. It requires a lot of patience, and then surely you'll get there.
Yeah. And I think I want to add there that anything that you want to make a habit of, or you want to,
Exactly.
make a change in your life, it has to come through doing a little bit of it every day so that it actually becomes a part of your lifestyle. Otherwise,
Exactly.
going all out in the beginning and then, your body will start having cramps and you'll be like, oh my God, I injured myself. I can't do this.
Yeah,
And
actually.
having run myself a little bit for the last few months, I realized that when I started, it was just, 1 kilometer seemed like such a stretch and I would be panting and all. But
Yeah.
little by little, we're doing warm-ups and exercises and running and walking and running and walking. Within about, 5 months, your body adjusts so much that it's amazing that you're not
Yeah,
even panting after a 10 kilometer. It's
definitely.
just about, having patience and doing this on a repetitive basis every single day.
Yes, and you need to have realistic goals. Don't set up something very big all of a sudden. If you have not
Mhm.
been able to do even 1,000 steps a day, you can't say that I am going to do a 5 kilometer all at once. That is when you are putting and exerting a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on the body. So set your goals very simple, and and then it is achievable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think, that comes from respecting our bodies, understanding that
totally.
you have to take it slow, respect your bodies, and then only go
See,
forward.
every
It's not a
body.
competition with anyone.
Exactly. Every pregnancy, every post pregnancy is a totally different story, right? So every body needs a different kind of adjustment, a different kind of activity to go through. So it's just about taking it very slow.
Okay, and now that we've spoken about importance of fitness, and what I've read a lot of places is that weight loss is about 30% physical activity and 70% your nutrition and how you're eating. But on the topic of nutrition, does healthy eating and nutrition require specific diets like those fads like intermittent fasting, eating multiple times a day, or keto, and all the other kinds of diets that are going around these days, given that it's lockdown and that's all you can see on social media.
Right.
But what are your views on that?
Yeah. See, any diet for that matter which comes with a name, okay, it becomes the diet. Okay. So it's like, you will start with something, okay? You will start with all the josh and then you'll give it up, right? And that vicious cycle is going to continue always. It's very important for you to keep in mind on 3 points, okay? When you start any diet for that matter, any specific diet, be it keto, intermittent, or anything that you want to do, you always need to keep 3 points in mind. First thing is this diet sustainable and can you follow it for life? That's something you really need to think when you start any diet. Don't start intermittent fasting or don't start keto because somebody has done it and somebody has lost 5 kgs. Okay, it is the results are different for every person. Okay, so you shouldn't start because somebody is doing it. Okay, point number 2, before you start any diet, do you want the next generation or your child to follow this diet? Okay, if the answer is no, why and how do you even think that this diet is going to help you, right? And the third point is this diet going to make me feel energetic and happy? If the diet is putting you on a lot of restrictions, okay, saying that you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, you should be eating only high protein, okay, that is the kind of diet you should think, okay, can you really do it? Don't deprive yourself of any food, okay, because that is really, unrealistic approach. So follow
Right.
something which you really think you can follow for life. That's all. That's the simple
Yeah.
line there.
Yeah, and I think anything which is not sustainable beyond a month is something that will put you
Exactly.
back badly into the, worse than the previous situation that you were in, because the body will
Yes.
get into a shock.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should do anything which you can really follow for life. That's all. Don't start anything, be it intermittent, be it keto. You will do it only if you can really do it, throughout and for a very long period of time. Short
Mm.
term diet really doesn't work.
But what are your views on eating multiple times a day, every 2 hours, and having smaller meals? Does that help?
Yes, see, small meal patterns help for people who have a medical condition, for people who have to keep their blood sugar levels always in control. Okay, that is
Mhm.
when, and for people, especially during pregnancy and post pregnancy, that is recommended, small frequent meal pattern. But otherwise, in general, eat when you are hungry.
Hmm.
That's the line. Just don't eat because we have this habit of telling, oh, it's dinner time, so let's eat it. You will eat it only if you are hungry. Just don't eat it
Hmm.
because you have to close the kitchen and you just have to finish the work of dinner. It's not that way. You will eat it only if you
Hmm.
are hungry. That's the thing. So
Hmm.
just don't eat it because oh, I have to eat lunch, oh, I have to eat dinner. It's not that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people who are vegetarians or vegans, can they get all the nutrition from their diet, or do they necessarily need to take supplements or look because of
For
protein?
vegetarians, you mean for
Yes,
vegetarians? Yes.
yes.
Vegetarians definitely yes. They can get all nutrients through the diet. One point they have to keep in mind is on the protein intake because a non-vegetarian protein is a complete one, whereas a vegetarian
Mm-hmm.
protein requires a combination of a lot of things. So your dals, your legumes, your seeds, all these are filled with protein. a very important point for a vegetarian, which they, it's a mandatory in the kitchen, and they need to swear by, is sprouts. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
need to literally sprout anything that you see in the kitchen, be it your rajma, your moong, buckwheat, wheat, anything. Literally, you need to sprout all of them because, they are rich in all kinds of B vitamins. Okay, and when you sprout it, the nutrient content is equivalent to that of a non-vegetarian protein. So at least, have at least one bowl of sprouts every single day. A vegetarian diet needs to swear by sprouts. So yeah, otherwise, yes, they can get all the kinds of nutrients. It definitely doesn't require a supplementation at all.
So sprouts should be eaten just after sprouted, or the sprouts need to be like sauteed or cooked over a pan before having
Yeah,
it? What is the
sprouts.
right way of eating
Yeah,
sprouts?
it's always better if you eat sprouts in the cooked form, okay, rather than eating it raw, because it requires the body to go through a lot of digestion. It requires a lot of breakdown. So it's always better if you eat it in the, cooked form.
Okay.
With your sprout salad, with your sprouts curry, adding them to your cutlets, to your soups, to your pohas. Literally add them everywhere and anywhere on your plate. So sprouts
Yeah.
is something you need to swear by.
And now we are coming towards the end of our session. But before we start taking questions from the audience, let's talk about the most favorite question, which is what are the tips for weight loss post pregnancy in a sustainable and healthy way? I think that's one question that every woman has when she comes out of a pregnancy.
Yes, definitely. First, point here is patience. You need to have a lot of patience, okay? And please, don't compare yourself. That is definitely not going to help. And set realistic goals, like I told you, okay? Don't, imagine yourself, you will fit back in that jeans immediately when you come out from the hospital. That is not going to happen. Your body has taken good 9 months, okay, to put on that weight, and it is going to take at least 9 months to lose that weight. So take it very, very slowly. Okay, set realistic goals, like I told you. You will need to start with, strengthening your core, strengthening your pelvic floor. Without that, it is definitely not possible to lose weight. So that is something where you need to start on, and start it very, very slowly, because slow progress is real progress. Okay, you need to be a tortoise, okay, in a weight loss journey, not a hare. Okay, if you lose it, immediately you are going to, rebounce back. So take it
Hmm.
extremely slowly, and because now, especially postpartum, you will be breastfeeding. So again, that is an add-on. So those are some things which you'll have to keep in mind. So take it very, very slowly, and I think what happens postpartum is there is that lack of motivation to start, right?
Right.
And they don't know from where to start. They want to start, but they don't know how to begin with. Okay, so that is when me and my dear friend Neha, when we both were postpartum, I was like 4 months and she was like 2 months postpartum. That is when we initiated this hashtag called HarmaFit. Okay, and that is when we thought that women require a lot of physical physical health and mental health too. They don't know where to start, and they're very
Yeah.
desperate to lose that weight, right? So that is when we started up this with this hashtag, and it is totally it's a habit formation group that we are running and motivating a lot of mothers
Hmm.
to count on their steps and form habits, track on their plates, and drink that
Yeah.
amount of water. So that is the kind of motivation I think mothers need. And I think when you are accountable to somebody, and that is when you do it. So
Yeah. I think, having a friend or a group who's with you in that journey always, a lot of times when you're a new mom, time becomes a challenge because you're like, where do I leave my baby? And, they can be up anytime. But I think there's always possible to think of innovative ways, like put your baby in a pram and go for a walk around your apartment, or leave
totally,
it there and, just like do a little bit of walking or yoga. And I think
yeah.
it's possible.
See,
Again,
it's all
this
about
needs around 15 minutes a day, but you need to do it every day.
exactly. See, it's all about making yourself priority, okay? And it's all about slamming those excuses. You can't make motherhood an excuse, right? You should
Yeah.
always make health priority. So when you make health priority, all the other things will fall in place. All you need is just give yourself 20 minutes a day. That is all you need to do. Start with very simple things like, spot walk in a place, or you can't jog, but, spot walking is something which you can do. And,
Yeah.
take a stroll once you finish your meals. And, if the baby is sleeping, you can do pelvic floor exercises, right? So these are something which you can slowly start up with. And then you can slowly start building up from there on counting your steps and adding yoga and adding Kegel exercises. That is how you slowly start building it up.
Yeah.
So body will require at least a minimum of, you should give at least the grace of 6 to 7 months at least for your body to come back in shape. Minimum of a year, but it again depends, Surbhi, again depends on the, how you have trained your body before pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
So
It's very
if
important.
you were a person who are very active, and you were
The muscle
throughout
memory is
pregnancy,
always there. Yes.
yeah. So if you're active throughout pregnancy and you've done all kinds of exercise, it becomes easier for you postpartum to lose weight. So
Yeah.
that is also a point.
And I think, just one of the last comments, as women in general, while growing up, women have not been very encouraged in our societies and in our tradition to take up sports or physical activities. It's mostly, staying at home, helping the family, or, completing their education. But I just feel that it's extremely important to have some kind of physical activity as part of your lifestyle. And if
Totally.
that's not part of your upbringing, then women should do it now.
Totally. And with the kind of lifestyle that we have these days, I think saying that you have no time for exercise, it's like saying that, I want to go on a long drive and I don't want to fuel my car. It's just as simple as that. Okay, you need physical activity, definitely. Minimum of 30 minutes. You need to give only 30 minutes a day. Okay, if you have all the time, to scroll, through Instagram, and you have all the time to binge watch series, why don't you have that 30 minutes for yourself? That is all
Yeah.
your body is asking you for.
I think throw your phones away and go take a walk.
No, at least hold your phone and at least walk with the phone. Don't keep sitting in a place. So I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
sitting is the new smoking. Okay, sitting
Mhm.
is the new smoking. If you're
I
sitting in a
love
place,
your one-liners. Sitting is the new smoking, and
yeah, it is. It is.
go a long drive without the fuel. Okay.
If you're sitting in a place for more than 45 minutes, okay, it is like you are effectively shutting your body's capacity to burn the fat, right?
Yeah.
So that is why we see a lot of people with abdominal obesity, thicker thighs, and it is because always a couch potato, always sitting in a place, on calls. That is the kind of lifestyle which most of us have these days. So set reminders,
Mhm.
reminders on your phone that get up, move your body, sip some water, deep breathe, and then sit back. So that's
Hmm.
the kind of, some lifestyle habits which you need to add in your everyday life.
Yeah. Cool. Let's just quickly get to the questions. There are a lot of them
Sure,
piling
sure,
up. The first
sure.
one is, do you think lactating mothers can go on a diet?
I didn't get the question. Can you
Do
repeat?
you think lactating mothers can go on a diet?
I can't hear you, Surbhi. What?
Hi, can you hear me now,
Yeah,
Jayalakshmi?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I'm saying the question is, do you think lactating mothers can go on a diet?
I will not, name it as a diet, but yes, you can make modifications to the diet. Okay, like
Mhm.
adding certain nutrients to your meals, like a extra portion of protein, extra portion of vegetable, and cutting down a little on simple carbs. That's the kind of modifications you will do, but you will not go on any kind of diet when you are lactating. Not any
Yeah,
diet.
but taking care of your diet.
Exactly.
Should carbs be included in dinner?
Why not? Why not? there is this very bad, rap for the carbs always, people say, oh, you're eating rice, then you will gain weight. You shouldn't eat rice for dinner. You can eat roti. Okay. If you are in a weight loss, then carbs is something which you should never be eating. So this is the kind of misconception which is built around carbs. Okay. But the right combination of what you eat with the carb is something which is very important. Okay, so don't our Indian diets are always carb dominant, right? So
Yeah.
we lack on a lot of vegetables. We lack on a lot of protein. So just make your plating a little different. Okay, so that it is definitely a yes for rice. There is definitely, and especially I am a typical South Indian. I can't do without rice. My everyday night is rice. So that is a question which I'm always asked. Do you eat rice at night, and how are you still losing weight? Okay, at the end of the day, it's all calorie deficit. Unless and
Mm.
until you are on calorie deficit, you will not lose weight.
Yeah. And can we eat both rice and chapati in the same meal?
No, that's a very nice question, but no. See, both are carbs. Okay, it's better if you can have either rice or roti, but not both together. So it's better if you have one, because both are rice is a simple sugar, and both will immediately rise your blood sugar levels. They have a low glycemic index, so it's better if you have either one of them.
Right. Ma'am, my milk supply has almost vanished after 4 months. How can I bring back my milk supply?
Okay, now this is, it requires, I think, it is not only diet also, right? The how many times you feed in a day, how is the baby latching, the frequency of how you're feeding. The more you feed, the better the milk supply. It's not only the food always. Uh, so include a lot, as I told you, drink a lot of water, include good amount of protein in the diet, have complex carbs like, oats, and millets in the diet. All these are foods which improve your quality of milk. So those are some things which you can do, and the frequency of feeding is something which needs to be improved for the real that milk supply to improve. It's not
Yeah.
only the food.
How do you manage feeding your family what you made? I have a joint family and it is very difficult to control my diet. I guess what she means is that in a joint family, it's difficult to, have a separate diet from the rest of the people. So, what should women do in such cases?
So that's a very good question. Now, see, for example, I think I'm making puri at home. Okay, because family demands for that, and weekend is for puris and all kinds of deep fried. Now, how will you control it? That is the question I think she was asking. So, it is not about depriving or telling that puri is bad. If you have certain specific goals, then you'll have to follow a specific diet. So you have one puri, out of the same dough you will make a roti, right? So that
Mm.
is how you slowly cut down on the calories and you provide the same amount of nutrition. And for example, it is puri and bhaji. Okay, think it this way. So what will I do? I will make it puri and chole, because there has to be some amount of protein with that, right?
Right.
So that's the kind of meal preparation that you will have to plan for. And now I'm slowly, for example, think you are introducing millets into your diet and family. So how will you start including that? If you make an entire dish out of millet, then there are chances that the family is going to refuse it, right? Because all are used to rice. So you will have one portion of rice and one portion of millet mixed, and you can make a vegetable pulao. So that's the kind of combinations you need to learn, and slowly the family will get used to it. It is an
Yeah.
it's a consistent practice that you'll have to do. One day you do it, and again you do it on the 10th day, then that is not going to help. You need to be very consistent with what you're doing.
Right.
Right.
I think that's a great answer. Can we mix lemon and honey to the water for our morning drink?
Okay, now this is
And
again,
let's just extend this question to how do you start your morning and what is the first thing that you should eat?
yeah. See, my basic recommendation is you should start your day with just basic water. That's all. Okay, there is no science or there is no evidence to prove that lemon and honey is going to help in some way, or ACV water is going to help, or water with fennel seeds is going to help. All these are trends, and all these are gimmicks which the market has been creating. If you stick on to basic simple things, I think that is the best. Just start your day with just 2 glasses of water. That is good enough. Now, why should you start your day with water? Is there is a gap of such big gap of 7 to 8 hours gap between your dinner and breakfast. So entire body has been acidic, and when you start your day with tea or coffee, it's like you are igniting things. So that is why you need to start your day with water.
Yeah, that's great. And let's just talk about one more question, which is importance of having nuts, and how should you have them? Like, should it be like sprinkled over, or should you have them separately? Should they be soaked? What is the right way of having and introducing nuts in your diet?
Yeah, nuts again. It is always better if you eat it in the soaked form. Okay, it is better for absorption and digestion as well. You can have a fist of nuts first thing in the morning. You can sprinkle them on your smoothies. You can add it to your any kind of breakfast cereal that you're having. So, or you can have it as a form of a mid-morning snack. So, yeah, a fistful of nuts a day is the recommendation. And
Yeah.
in the soaked form.
Right. And I think we are at the end of our questions now. And a lot of people have requested that they want to contact you personally. And I think her handle has been shared on our stories as well as on our profile, and will stay there. So you can always ping her and get in touch with her directly. And I would really like to thank Jay Lakshmi for being part of this discussion today. It was amazing, and I just absolutely love the ease with which you explain, and your one-liners are like amazing. They will always people will tend to remember, and
Thank you.
it will stay with them.
Thank you so much, Surabhi. Thank you so much for having me on board. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I wish you all the best. And please continue on such educational series. I think education and keeping people informed is something which is
Yeah.
extremely important.
Yeah, and thank you. And women health and well-being is very close to our heart as a brand, because
Yes.
not just a product company, we've been able to build a large community of women who not just interact with us but also write for us, and we want to keep having these sessions which help them in different ways. So thank you for joining us. We will be in touch, and I hope that you get many incoming queries from our audience,
Yeah.
and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Surabhi. Thank you.
Thank you.